Okay, here's a question that might catch some of you out. So question 7 says the curve y equals ln x is transformed to the curve y equals ln of a half x minus a by means of a translation followed by a stretch. Okay. Question 1 just says give details of the translation and the stretch involved. Okay, so I'm going to write the equation y equals ln of a half x minus a. Okay, so intuitively, well, let's think about this. So if I draw some axes, okay, and I have say some value here, let's call it x prime. Okay, so this is on my new curve. So on my new curve, you have x prime. Okay, so how do I find out what that value was on the old graph, y equals ln x? Okay, well, that was all I have to do is half of it, take half of it, and take away a to find out what the value was. I have to half it and take away a. Okay. So then, if I know the old value, how am I going to get to the new value? How do I get to the new value? So this will tell me what transformation I need to make. Well, I need to add a and double it. Okay? So that means that the transformation from my old curve to my new curve is going to be a transformation by a in the positive x direction, and then a stretch by a factor of 2 in the x direction. Okay, so that is a transformation. So translation by a in the positive x direction, and a stretch by a factor of 2 in the x direction. Cool. So that's part 1. Okay, let's just make that smaller so I have more room. Let's move on to part 2 now. Okay, part 2. So sketch the curves. Sketch the curve y equals a half x minus a. So I'm going to draw 3 sets of axes here. Okay, and the reason I'm drawing 3 sets of axes is because I'm going to draw each transformation separately. So the first one I'm going to draw is just the original curve, which is y equals ln x. Okay, that is 1 because ln of 1 is 0, and the asymptote is at x equals 0. Okay, so the first transformation is a translation by a in the positive x direction. So everything is going to shift by a. So it's going to look something like that, where that is 1 plus a. And that, the asymptote is a. Okay. The second transformation is a stretch by a factor of 2 in the x direction. So all the x values are going to be doubled. Okay. So what was 1 plus a is now going to be 2 plus a, and what was a is now going to be 2a. So it's going to look something like that, where that is 2 plus 2a, because that was doubled, and the asymptote is now going to be 2a. Since this is just a sketch, the important aspects are this x-intercept here and this asymptote here. So do label them on your diagram. Okay, make that smaller again. Okay, let's look at part 3 now. It says on another diagram, sketch y equals the modulus of ln of a half x minus a. So if I draw another set of axes here, then I'm going to have the same asymptote at 2a. Okay. And taking the mod just means that what the values that were negative are now positive. So it's going to look something like that, where that is 2 plus 2a. Okay, great. Part 4. Part 4 just says state the values for which the mod of a half x minus a is the same as minus ln of a half x minus a. So let's write that. We want ln of a half x minus a equal to minus ln of a half x minus a. Okay? Best thing to do when you have something like this is just to draw the graphs, the curves, and to draw them on the same axes as well. Okay, so let's draw that asymptote again. Okay. So first I'm going to draw the curve here again, so that's the mod. And next I'm going to draw well, we want negative ln of a half x minus a, so we want this curve reflected in the x-axis. So I'm going to reflect this in the x-axis. I'm going to get something that looks like that. Okay, and I'll just put these points in here, 2 plus 2a, and that's 2a. So when are they the same? Well, we can just read that off of the curve, so they're the same for x less than 2 plus 2a and bigger than 2a. Question solved.